Om Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharmaswarupine Stapakaya Dharmasya Sarvadharmaswarupine Avataravariष्ठाय Ramakrishna te Namaha Asato ma sadgamaya Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya Mrityorma mritangamaya Om Shanti Shanti. Let us bow down to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all religions, the Supreme God incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. Today's topic, spiritual path, shown by Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna practiced the spiritual life and achieved the goal, and then he gave his experiences to the devotees. He became a source of inspiration to all the spiritual aspirants following different paths. Sri Ramakrishna became the central figure integrating all these various religious paths, authenticating every religious path as a true path. There need not be any conflict in the paths as such. So if you come to Sri Ramakrishna, you find that Sri Ramakrishna stresses the importance of holding on to one faith and follow it up. Follow it up till you reach the goal. Never deviate your attention in any manner. So the whole mind must be set in that direction, in the path which you have chosen. And there is no time for you to criticize or condemn anybody else or to enter into any kind of debate or discussion. There is no time. First you achieve what you have to do. Reach the goal. Then if you got time, then you enter into any kind of activity thereafter. Till you reach the goal, don't waste your time anymore. So Swamiji is very particular about the practical aspect of life. So take it up and follow it up sincerely. So that is a basic quality in the spiritual path. If you are sincere, you are sure to reach the goal even in this very life. At least you will have spiritual glimpses, because achieving the goal depends on how you maintain your mind. Mind is very important. How far your mind is clean, to that extent you will be able to experience spiritual life. So in order to have the vision of God, it is very important that you must pay whole attention to keeping your mind intact, clean, pure, perfect. That means it must have tremendous good samskaras which will always keep you on the right track. So, Sri Ramakrishna sets your life from the beginning. First of all, you must set yourself what life you want. Do you want spiritual life? First you set that properly. You can't have both. That means you can't have mind in the world also in the spiritual way. But then we are all living in the world. What should we have to do? But Sri Ramakrishna tells there's a way of living in the world. It is very safe for the boat to float on the water, but the water should not be dripping into the boat. So that is the way how we should conduct ourselves. We should know how to swim in this world, not to sink. So swimming in the world, that's important. So we have been thrown into the water, you are forced to learn swimming, otherwise you will die. That's one way of learning swimming. So since you have been forced into this world, it is very important you develop devotion and love towards God, because you need God's help all the time. Every moment of your life you need the help of God. So your spiritual life begins with the firm belief that there is God who is taking care of everything. The whole universe belongs to Him. How can you not see? He is giving air, He is giving light, He is giving water, He is giving fire. He has given everything for us to enjoy this life. And sun is there throughout the universe, not only in India, not only in Russia, not only in China, not only in America. Every part of the universe is filled with that light. In the same way, the air. So all these things are provided by whom? By God Himself. So that all the beings in the universe may live in peace and harmony. So, you should know how to play the game if you have to enjoy the game. So we are all here in this world to play our game. If you don't know how to play your game, then you will be miserable and you will pass through all sorts of problems and sufferings, and there is no end to that. You must learn the technique of living your life. You may be in the world, but you must be spiritual. That's what Sri Ramakrishna tells here. You may be engaged in doing your work, but that doesn't mean that you should forget God and that you don't need God and you don't want to think anything about God. For you, you are most important than anything else. That attitude will not work. The more you feel you are more important, the more knocks you will get in the life. It is the ego that is a stumbling block in our spiritual path. So, you have to give direction in every aspect in order to get success in the spiritual path. So he says here, whatever work you may be doing in this world, or you are assigned to do the work, always have that attitude that you are doing God's work. Bring that idea of God in everything. So God should take the first priority over everything. Nothing should supersede God. That's very important step. So even before starting the work, think of God and always feel that you are doing His work. If you have that attitude keeps your mind in a nice shape. And with that attitude, if you are engaging in work, whatever work you may be doing, it becomes worship. Because you are dedicating the work to God, you are always having that feeling that it is Lord's work. So, instead of binding you, it helps you towards freedom, towards enjoying happiness. So, Sri Ramakrishna here suggests that do your duties with one hand and with the other hold on to God. So, if you study Sri Ramakrishna's life, you find every moment of his life was associated with God. Every moment. So, he wants all the spiritual aspirants to be associated with God all the time, constantly. That's the purpose of our telling, repeat the name all the time. The idea is, you must not forget. You must not forget God, because there is a tendency for us to forget. We may have reasons. I was so hectic, I was so busy in the work, I forgot God. No. We should not forget God for any reason. So naturally, what work will do? It creates bondage and ties the person to the world. So you should not be tied down in that fashion. But then you can't give up work altogether. You have to work. You have to earn the money. You have to pay the bills. You have to take care of those things. And moreover, the work itself is provided by God, and it is needed. Why? To reap the fruits of your past deeds. But the work you do should not bring you more bondage. That means you should not be totally lost in the work. What is the meaning of bondage? It means you become more and more selfish. That should not be. So, you have to conduct yourself in activities in such a way that you should be unselfish. And here Sri Ramakrishna, however, warns that even unselfish work is only a means and not the end. To a question of a devotee about worldly duties, such as those associated with earning money and so on, Sri Ramakrishna tells, you perform them, but only as much as you need for your livelihood. It's not that whole day, whole night you have to spend in work at the cost of your spiritual upliftment. So what he says is, even though you are engaging in work, you must pray to God in solitude, on vacation, instead of spending time in the clubs and in all sorts of worldly things. Go and have some retreat in a holy place and pray to God so that you may be able to perform those duties in an unselfish manner. You should say to Him, "O God, make my worldly duties fewer and fewer. Otherwise, I find that I forget you when I am involved in too many activities. I may think I am doing unselfish work, but it turns out to be selfish." As I said, the ego is always there. It's always trying to show up itself. So in the name of unselfish activity, there is tendency to become more selfish. So you have to be careful. That's what Sri Ramakrishna is pointing out. So he always tells you to remember God, even though you are working. And there's every possibility that you may do mistakes, you may commit sins. There's a possibility. But then Sri Ramakrishna says here, pray to God. Pray to Him wholeheartedly. Pray to Him sincerely. If you are sincere in your prayer, then even though you might have committed some sins unknowingly, they are washed away. In fact, there's a prayer in our Indian tradition. Every day we pray there. Yadanhat kurute papam tadanhat pratimuchyate. Whatever sins I have committed today, in the daytime, may all be washed away, O God. Yadratriyat kurute papam tadratriyat pratimuchyate. Whatever sins I have committed during the night, O God, please wash them away. This we have to pray every day. And there is a tradition. See, according to Indian tradition, your day starts with prayer, your activities start with prayer, and everything should be concluded with prayer. When you set out for work, you have to offer your prayers and worship, then go to work. Then after finishing the job, when you come back, take ablutions, again offer prayers and worship, and then the day is concluded. So that is how you are regulated. If you are very meticulous in following these instructions, you are bound to get result. Even though you are in this world, you are not bound by the world. On the other hand, it paves the way for freedom. So, you have to have an attitude of detachment when you perform the work. But then he says, don't get involved unnecessarily in too many activities. Once Shambhu Malik, one of the devotees of Sri Ramakrishna, one day he was praying to him, "Oh Lord, bless me so that I may spend all the money for good purposes, such as building hospitals, dispensaries, making roads and digging wells." That means his mind is running after doing such activities. It's not that the activities are bad. What Sri Ramakrishna is telling you here is, you pay attention first to realize God. Then everything else should come. Then Sri Ramakrishna replies to him, well, it's all right if you are having desire to build hospitals, dispensaries and so on. But it will be good if you can do these things in a spirit of detachment. But do you think that detachment is so easy? It is very difficult. We may talk about it, but attachment comes from nowhere. You feel you are attached to certain things. Whenever you may do, whatever you may do, you must always remember that the aim of this life is the attainment of God, but not the building of hospitals or dispensaries. Suppose God appears before you. Will you ask Him to build hospitals and dispensaries for you? A lover of God never says that. He will rather say, "Oh Lord, give me a place at your lotus feet. Keep me always in your company. Give me sincere and pure love for you." That's the way. Why should you forget God and destroy yourself by involving in too many activities? There are people who even say they were so busy in their activities, when they come back home they are tired, they can't do anything. They will simply lie down. See, that means the worldly activities have taken most of your energy, and your energy is lost, and you have no energy left to do even basic spiritual practices of doing japa and meditation. What's the use of such activities? Tell me. What do they result finally? Probably you may get a little more money, that's true. But you lose gold. You will get something else rather than that. So, what Sri Ramakrishna is stressing here is, your attention should be to realize God. And you can see Sri Ramakrishna's life itself, how he devoted his whole time and how he was very strong in his aspiration to realize God. That was very important for him, and he did not deviate his attention in any other manner. For full 12 long years he did practice meditation and prayers. He did worship Divine Mother. Finally he got the vision. He get into samadhi. Then only he began to share. Then only he began to come in contact with people outside, and all his life was spent in sharing his spiritual treasure with the devotees. That's why you see whatever Sri Ramakrishna says is so full of inspiration, and it inspires you to live spiritual life. And because Sri Ramakrishna is telling after his experience, it's not simply talk, it's all practiced in his own life. So it is tested. Whatever he says, all these teachings, you can simply take them and practice them. You don't have even to experiment upon them. Simply believe it and do it. Because Sri Ramakrishna has done it. All the experiments have been done. It is just like taking a drug. Before the drug comes to market, how much experiments they have done, how much money they have spent. Everything is done. Then only the product comes out. When the product comes out, you don't have to test again whether it is good one or fake, etc. It's all standardized and approved. In the same way, when Sri Ramakrishna has himself practiced all these spiritual sadhanas and then coming out with instructions, you simply have to take and do it. That's all. And at another place, Sri Ramakrishna corrects the spiritual aspirants. Some people speak of showing compassion to others and doing good to them. And Sri Ramakrishna answers in a very nice way, is the world such a small thing? And who are you? First realize God and see Him by means of spiritual disciplines. Then, if He imparts power, you do good to others. Otherwise not. Leave it to God. And if you are really good enough, then God will certainly give you power and ask you to do work. And you can take the example of Swami Vivekananda himself. When Narendranath expressed his desire that he wanted to spend whole time in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, Sri Ramakrishna said, no. You have to do my work. You have to do a lot of work in this world. You have to spread this spiritual idea all over the world. You can't simply spend the time in meditation and Nirvikalpa Samadhi. I know you have attained that state. It's done. It's all over for you. So, share it. Give these ideas to others. That's Nirvikalpa Samadhi you can get any time. You don't have to bother about it at all. And you will not lose it at all. Once you have got it, it is with you all the time. But then you have to work. So till you work, I keep the key with me. When my work is done, then I will open the key. You can have Nirvikalpa Samadhi. So like that he says. That means he is not discouraging you to do work, but what he is telling is first you realize God, then do whatever you want to. Then everything becomes meaningful. So to people who talk of showing compassion to others, Sri Ramakrishna says, compassion to creatures, no, it cannot be. Not compassion for others, but rather service. Service. Use that word service. Don't use the word compassion, because that makes the attitude very different. If you say compassionate, you feel you are superior and you can show your grace to people. No, that's not the way. Service. If you have that service attitude, the attitude of service, you will be more humble and you will be doing your work also very efficiently. So, have that attitude of service, serving the humanity, thinking all the beings to be veritable manifestation of God. That's the meaning of the phrase Shivajnane Jiva Seva. Shivajnane Jiva Seva. This is the phrase given by Sri Ramakrishna. So with the attitude of knowledge, with the attitude of God, do service to beings. That's what Swami Vivekananda did. So, serving humanity was uppermost in his mind. Swamiji himself says, I learnt a great lesson today at the feet of Sri Ramakrishna. That is this, Jiva Jnane Jiva Seva, Jiva Seva. So his whole life then was performed in that direction. So, the embodied being cannot remain even for a minute without doing any work. Swami Vivekananda says that all activities should be directed to the service of man, the manifestation of God upon earth. This will accelerate one's progress towards goal of self-realization. If you do work with this attitude, it becomes worship. Sri Ramakrishna tells the aspirant, live in the world, but in order to realize God, hold fast to the lotus feet with one hand and with the other do your duties. When you get a respite from your duties, cling to God's feet with both hands. Pray to God with a longing heart to reduce your worldly duties so that ultimately you are in a position to give up your hold on work once for all. So whatever work you have to do it only as much as it is required. Not more than that. If you have more time, it doesn't mean that you should engage yourself more in work. Work in the sense, I mean the ordinary worldly work, worldly type of work. If you have time, use it for realizing God, use it for spiritual practices. Go and sit, do meditation, do prayers, do whatever spiritual activity you want to. Why don't you engage yourself in such activities rather than going to worldly type of activities, because the tendency of worldly activities is to, it makes you more and more worldly. It drags you more and more towards it. The more you go towards world, the more you are going away from God. You lose the taste of God. You don't feel like, why should I go to chapel? You don't have inclination to go. It is very feeble. So, the worldly mind is very powerful and it dominates over you. It dominates you. It pushes you towards more and more in worldly type of activities. So, Sri Ramakrishna here says very clearly, you are in this world to carry on your spiritual life. Till you realize God, you must engage yourself in spiritual activities. So, then only you will be able to go forward in the spiritual path. The next point he tells, and very particular, is that when you have taken a path, when you are determined to realize the truth in this very life, what next step you should follow? Sri Ramakrishna here again tells, never stop in the middle. Go forward in your spiritual endeavors till you reach your goal. Never be stagnant. So, Sri Ramakrishna teaches that whatever you do, you will find better and better things if only you go forward. The principle which is true in worldly things is equally or more true in spiritual endeavors. And Sri Ramakrishna tells a beautiful parable to illustrate this idea. Once a woodcutter entered a forest to gather wood. Every day he was going and doing that job. Well, one day he met a brahmachari who advised him to go forward. It was a very catching word. Well, he took up that idea. The holy man has instructed to go forward. I am cutting the woods in the same area where I am doing. Why should I not go forward? So he went forward and he found, to his astonishment, a silver mine, then a gold mine, and finally a diamond mine. He was stunned. With all these, he became as rich as the god of wealth. God of wealth. His name is Kubera. He became the richest person. So Sri Ramakrishna illustrates by this story how going forward will help spiritual aspirant in the path of work. He says that work is only the first step. It can never be the goal of life. Devote yourself to spiritual practice and go forward. Work here, he is referring to ordinary worldly type of work. In fact, spiritual activity is also a work, but it is not used in that sense. So what Sri Ramakrishna is telling you is you have to pay full attention to your spiritual practices. More attention than what you give towards worldly work. Through practice, you will advance more and more in the path of God. With love and longing in our heart, pray to God, O God, grant me devotion to your lotus feet and reduce my worldly duties. Please grant me the boon that the few duties I must do may be done in a detached spirit. If you go still further, you will realize God. You will see Him. So by sustained spiritual efforts, the aspirant progresses through stages in his path to realization. Sri Ramakrishna describes these stages. The first stage is that of the beginner. He studies and hears. But then he should not stop at that point. He should continue. People, they seem to spend whole time simply reading and just finishing the job that way. It won't help you. It's always good, it is nice to read, but you must go further. Second stage, after what you have read, that means reading of the scriptures, knowing about the spiritual ideas, knowing about what is what. Next comes the important stage, very important stage, that is the stage of struggling. You have to struggle. Not simply knowing the ideas will give you the result. Suppose you think of a dish. You may have the big list of how to prepare the dish, etc. But you have to go to the bazaar, you have to procure the things, you have to bring them, you have to cook them. Then only you get the dish prepared. That means how much work you have to do after knowing the menu. Same way here also. When you know the spiritual ideas clearly, what things are to be done, then you have to step into practice. And that is called struggling. You have to struggle very hard. Because you have to fight the bad samskaras in the mind. You have to establish good samskaras. You have to format. You have to have a new format, as it were. You must have spiritual format. Then only it's possible to continue your spiritual journey. So, the struggling part is praying to God, meditating on Him, singing His glories, repeating His name, and such other activities. The activities which increases your love and devotion to God, which make you come closer to God. Though there are so many other pulls, you are not dragged by those pulls, but you struggle, you resist, and you do your spiritual practice. It's just like swimming against the current. Spiritual life is like swimming against the current. But you have to struggle. So that's a very important stage. Most of us, we fail in the struggling itself. We don't struggle at all. We struggle a little bit and find, oh, it's too difficult. Give it up. Finished. So, the first stage is reading and hearing. Second stage is struggling. Third stage is that of the perfect soul. When once the struggling is done, he has seen God and has realized Him directly and immediately in his inner consciousness. Then there is another stage, that is the stage of the supremely perfect. He gives the example of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who was in ecstasy by repeating the name of God. Such a devotee establishes a different relationship with God, looking on Him as the God as his master, or God as his father, and he as a child, as a son, and so on. So, the important suggestion Sri Ramakrishna is giving us in our spiritual path, in order to get successful, is go forward. Never stop in the middle for any reason. Struggle. Swami Vivekananda, a great disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he expresses the concept of going forward in his own inimitable way. He explains this idea. He tells, it is good to be born in a church, but it is bad to die there. It is good to be born a child, but bad to remain a child. Churches, ceremonies and symbols are good for the children, but when the child is grown, he must either burst the church or himself. We must not remain children forever. We must develop. Anyway, always be open and develop your spiritual dimension. That's the idea. Don't be narrowed. Don't narrow yourself in some kind of fanaticism. Grow up nicely and develop your spiritual dimension. And Sri Ramakrishna, as I said earlier, has given clear instruction about choosing the spiritual path. So many paths are open. Don't get confused. You don't have to. On the other hand, you must be happy. Oh, so many paths are there. I can choose any path I want. You must be happy rather than being confused. Let there be million paths. What does it matter? Why should those bother to you? You hold on to which path you want to take up. Choose the path which appeals to you most, and then have tremendous faith in it, then hold on to it till you reach the goal of life. God is one, but there are innumerable ways that lead to Him. He has allowed different religions and creeds to suit different aspirants. People always quarrel over religious differences, but it is futile to quarrel in the name of religion. They have not the intelligence to understand that he who is called Krishna, he who is called Shiva, he is also called as Jesus, he is also called as Allah. He has many, many names. Even we individuals, at least each one has got 2-3 names. Then why not God has many names? He has, in fact it is said in the Upanishad, Sahasra Shirsha Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat. He is indicating there. He has got thousands of names. So, whatever name you take, you are seeking the same truth. So the variance is due to climate, temperament and name. All scriptures seek Him alone and nobody else. Everybody speaks of God. Every religion speaks of God. The same God each one is referring to. If you know that, then there should not be any conflict, there should not be any animosity, there should not be any fanaticism. You follow your path, let him follow his path. Let the third one follow his own path. Let everyone follow their paths. That's the way how you have to conduct yourself. So, the aspirant can choose the path which appeals to him most or as shown to him by his guru. But then every step is important. The guru may tell you, may show you the path, but you must follow him. You must follow what he says. Not that you take what you want and you conveniently forget what you don't want. No. 50%, 60% following Guru will not help you. You have to follow Guru 100%. When Guru says it's final, there's no question there. No more question. You must have tremendous faith in the words of Guru, because the Guru knows it, knows the value of his instructions, and if a person doesn't follow, he will not get the result. And if he doesn't follow the words of Guru, he doesn't get the Guru's grace. That means, how can he make any progress in spiritual path? So it's very important to hold on to one path and to have tremendous faith in the words of Guru. Then only you can move in your spiritual path. Otherwise, you are not moving at all. You will be in the same place where you have started. So, Sri Ramakrishna here tells another important point. God can be attained through faith alone. Reasoning and doubts push him far away. The person who has faith achieves everything. Jumped over the sea through his faith in Rama's name, but Sri Rama himself had to build a bridge. Give up all such notions as, shall we be cured of our delirium? What will happen to us? We are sinners. One must have this faith. What? I have uttered the name of God. Can I be a sinner anymore? Because God has such tremendous power. He can burn anything. These sins are nothing. So here, in order to stress the importance of faith, Sri Ramakrishna tells a parable. There is a mother. She had a son, boy. He was going to school every day, but he had to pass through the woods. He was being frightened to pass through the woods. He was afraid of. So one day he complained to mother, "Mother, whenever I pass through the woods, I feel so shaken because somehow I become afraid. What will happen to me if some wild animals come and attack me, etc. Somehow I am afraid. What shall I do?" Then the mother simply told him, "Well, don't worry, call Madhusudan." Madhusudan? Who is he? He is your elder brother. And the child had such love and faith in the mother. He believed what mother said. Well, mother has said, why is it all these days I did not see my elder brother? The thought came like that. So next time when he was passing through the woods, he began to cry, "Brother Madhusudan, where are you? Please come. Please come and help me." But there was no response. Then he began to cry, because he believed it is very true. When mother has said, he must be there. Probably he has not heard me. So he began to shout and weep and cry, "Where are you? Please come quickly. I am afraid." Then God could wait no more. He appeared before him and said, "Here I am." And then he led the boy out to the woods and showed him the way to the school. Such is the response of God to the calls of the faithful. So, if one has faith, he has nothing to fear. Faith itself will act as a shield. It defends you from all dangers. That is important. All these ideas are to be practiced. You must cherish those ideas, you must dwell upon them, and you must live the life in a proper way so that all these manifest properly. And about choosing the path, one path, and holding on to it, then only you can reach the goal. If you keep changing the path, you won't go anywhere. And he gives an illustration. A man can reach the roof of a house by the stairs, or a ladder, or a rope, or even by a bamboo pole. You can reach the roof by going in any manner. But one cannot reach the roof if he sets foot now on one and now on the other. He should firmly follow one path. Either he should climb the staircase, or he should go on the rope, and so on. See, there is a famous shrine in India. It is a famous temple, Tirupati temple, Balaji temple or Venkateshwara. I have also gone there. Extremely beautiful temple. Where it is situated? The temple is situated on the top of the 7th hill. Every hill has got a name. On the 7th hill, on the top of the 7th hill, the temple has been built where the Lord is installed. Millions of people go there, millions. And what are the ways to go? There are thousands of stairs are there, stone steps. People even today, I'm not speaking of young people, even the old people who have more than 50 years, who have crossed 50, they are climbing these steps because they feel joy. They want, even though there is a road, motorable road, you can go by car to reach the 7th hill, but they don't want to go by car or bus. They want to climb the steps and go. They take steps. I have seen people going that way. And they have chosen that path. They say, we want to go, we want to climb, we want to make austerity. We feel joy in that austerity. Those who are disabled, those who cannot walk at all, then they may go by car. And even now they have provided even the helicopter. Through helicopter one can go to the 7th hill. So what is important is you take one path and follow it up. That's the point which I am stressing here. So hold on to one path. Be firm in one ideal. Dive deep. You have to dive deep. That means you must be very intense in your struggling and practices. Otherwise you can't pick up the gems if you only float on the surface. And then another important point Sri Ramakrishna tells in the spiritual path, you must have also the grit to pursue your chosen path till you reach the goal. Grit is very important. That's what that idea has been given by the Kathopanishad, which Swami Vivekananda has quoted many times. Rise, awake, and stop not till the goal is reached. Don't stop. The moment you stop, that moment is lost for you. Never stop till you reach the goal. So, that idea has been given here. And Sri Ramakrishna gives another example. When you need water, you begin to dig a well. But as soon as you strike a stone, you give it up and then begin at another place. Perhaps you may reach a bed of sand. Finding nothing but sand, you may give up that also. Like that, if you keep on changing, you won't get water at all. How can you succeed in getting water unless you continue to dig persistently where you have started? So, that's the important instruction. And finally, Sri Ramakrishna tells you, ego, that must be properly treated. Efface ego and surrender yourself to God. It is Maya which keeps us in ignorance and entangles us in the world and deviates us from our chosen path to divinity. Sri Ramakrishna says, what is that Maya? That Maya, the word Maya comes again and again in Vedanta, in our Indian scriptures. Constantly it comes. And Sri Ramakrishna explains it very nicely. What is Maya? It is nothing but egotism of the embodied soul. Egotism is the feeling of I and mine. I am the doer and I am my own master. This egotism has covered everything like a veil. The feeling of I and mine is ignorance. It is of the nature of tamas. It is begotten by ignorance. On account of the barrier of ego, one doesn't see God. One cannot see God as long as one feels, I am the doer. God does not appear easily in the heart of a man who feels himself to be his own master. Ignorance lasts as long as one has the ego, and there can be no liberation so long as the ego remains. So Sri Ramakrishna says that all troubles come to an end when the ego dies. A person who is not egoistic knows that everything belongs to God and that he alone is the doer, and whatever he is doing, all is his work, and he feels that he is only an instrument of God. The same idea has been given in Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna says, Arjun, nimitta matram bhava savyasachan. You are only an instrument. Think of me and do your duty. That's all. You are here to do your duty, not to assert yourself. You are only instrument. God is the operator. So, have this attitude and feel always humble. The more you are humble, the more you are near to God. So, this way, Sri Ramakrishna has given very practical advice to spiritual aspirants. You find them all in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Please go through them, page by page, slowly, read them deeply, understand them, assimilate them, practice them. Then you will see the glory of God in your own life. In this very life, you will see that. Thank you very much.
Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunakto Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. May the Divine Spirit protect us, guide us, give us strength and right understanding. May we not hate one another. May love and harmony be with us all. Peace, peace, peace be unto all. May the Divine Lord protect us. May He nourish us. May we work in harmony with great vigor. May our study be illuminating and fruitful. May we not hate each other. Peace, peace, peace be unto all.